I just strike her like madmen.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here on September 24th, the September 24, 2018 City Council meeting of the full City Council come to order. It's 2:00 p.m. I'm Bruce Harrell, President of the Council. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Gonzalez. Here. Herbold.
Here.
Johnson. Here. Juarez. Here. O'Brien. Here. Sawant. Here. Bagshaw. President Harrell. Here. 7 present.
Very much. If there's no objection, today's introduction and referral calendar will be adopted. Hearing no objection, that is adopted. The introduction and referral calendar. If there's no objection, today's agenda will be adopted. Hearing no objection, today's agenda is adopted. The minutes of the September 10th, 2018 City Council meeting have been reviewed, and if there's no objection, the minutes are being signed. Hearing no objection, the minutes are being signed. Please let the record show that Councilmember Bagshaw has arrived. You'll 10 push-ups when you're late like that.
Happy to do it. You want to just drop him now.
See, just one moment here. Presentations at this point. We'd like to hear, as part of the presentation, I'd like to invite Senior Deputy Mayor Mike Fong to the podium to deliver Mayor Durkin's 2019 budget message. By way of context, many of you may know that at 12:30 this afternoon, Mayor Durkin did deliver her speech and her message, and what I thought was a fairly powerful message on the budget and the priorities. And so at this point, we'd like Deputy Mayor Fong to say what he'd like to say, and we'd ask that the clerk accept the paper and the copies and distribute it to all members. This is a formal process that we do by our charter, and so we welcome Deputy Mayor Mike Fong to the podium.
Right. Good afternoon, Council President Harrell and council members. As the council president has mentioned earlier today at Fire Station 10, Mayor Durkin delivered her first budget address as mayor, and we were pleased to have many of you in attendance. It is now my pleasure to formally deliver to you the mayor's budget message, which is in accordance with Article 5, Section 6B of the Seattle City Charter. It's to be communicated at a regular city council meeting at the same day the mayor presents her proposed budget. I have 20 copies of the mayor's message, and they are now being provided to the council at this time. If I can give this to Amelia. Additional hard copies of the mayor's actual proposed 2019-2020 budget have been delivered to the council as of early this afternoon. I want to thank all of you, and I look forward to working with the council with the adoption of this year's budget process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fong. We look forward to working with you during the budget process. We have 2 other presentations that we're real excited to present, and if you didn't know, we are in the midst of the Orchestra of the Year. And Councilmember Herbold, why don't you tell us what we are celebrating?
Fantastic, thank you. So today we are going to honor the Seattle Symphony, which has been named the Symphony of the Year for 2018. And we will be presenting the proclamation. Others are in attendance here with us today. And if I could, Council President, I'd like to read the proclamation.
The rules are suspended. Please do.
Thank you. Whereas the Seattle Symphony held its first live performance on December 29th, 1903, and in 1998, the Seattle Symphony inaugurated Benaroya Hall, now celebrating its 20th anniversary of welcoming over 400,000 visitors per year to over 400 events presented by the Symphony and other organizations. And the goals of the Seattle Symphony include striving for excellence, creating a culture that reflects its values, and building meaningful connections with its communities. And whereas on February 8th, 2017, the Seattle Symphony epitomized these values by presenting on very short notice the free Music Without Borders Voices from the Seven concert in response to the executive order restricting travel and immigration from 7 Muslim majority nations. And the Seattle Symphony's 90 instrumentalists and the 120 volunteer members of the Seattle Symphony choir dedicate themselves to unleashing the power of music, bringing people together, and lifting the human spirit. And the Seattle Symphony is heard from September to July by more than 500,000 people locally through live performances and radio broadcasts, and reaches 65,000 children and adults through its education and community programs. And the Seattle Symphony has recorded over 150 albums, which has resulted in a global audience, 23 Grammy Award nominations, 3 Grammy Awards just since 2015, 2 Emmy Awards, and numerous other accolades. And whereas Ludovic Morat has served as music director from 2011, presenting critically acclaimed performances and thrilling us with his innovative programming. And whereas in 2014, the Seattle Symphony launched Seattle Symphony Media, which has released 21 recordings with Grammy-winning engineer and producer Dimitri Lippe. And whereas the Seattle Symphony was one of 8 international ensembles nominated for the Orchestra of the Year award by Gramophone, which recognizes artistic excellence. And at the 2018 Gramophone Classical Music Awards in London, the Seattle Symphony was named Orchestra of the Year, and in an essay, Gramophone honoring the Seattle Symphony noted, the orchestra has transformed itself into a cherished, integral component of the cultural life of its rapidly growing home city through imaginative performing, collaborations with artists from a diversity of genres and initiatives that mirror the progressive vision of its audience, including work with the homeless and inmates of local prisons. Now, therefore, the City Council and Mayor honor the Seattle Symphony for winning the 2018 Orchestra of the Year Award and hereby proclaim September 24th, 2018 to be Seattle Symphony Day.
Thank you very much. And the rules are hereby suspended. Would you like to proceed?
Yes. So we have some folks who are with us today to accept this proclamation. If you could join us at the mic, and I will come out and give it to you. And I think the Council President will let you say a few words.
Thank you very much. My name is Krishna Tyagarajan, and I'm actually in my 4th week of being honored to be the Chief Executive and President of Seattle Symphony and Benaroya Hall. And I couldn't think of a more wonderful day than today, where the City of Seattle and Seattle Symphony are celebrating this great achievement of being Orchestra of the Year. And I thank you for this proclamation. As Lisa Herbold already read the proclamation and talked about a few of our programs, I'm going to keep my remarks extremely short. But suffice it to say that the Symphony is deeply committed to our wonderful city and also the people of our region. And we have been working very hard to show that through the initiatives such as just mentioned, the Music Beyond Borders concert, and then also Simple Gifts program, which assists people experiencing homelessness. Both of these programs, I think, highlight that creativity continues to persevere under even extreme challenging situations. And so for us as a symphony, this is core to our mission to supporting these programs. Of course, we are an award-winning orchestra with award-winning recordings, and we also have a gem of a hall. If you haven't been to Benaroya Hall, I invite all of you today to please come and see us. And with that, I'd just like to say there's a colleague of mine, Elena Dubinets. She has the actual Orchestra of the Year plaque from Gramophone magazine. We were the only American orchestra to be nominated. So thank you all very, very much.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You've made us very proud. And Councilmember Herbold, we have one more proclamation we would like to present.
I certainly do. The proclamation that I have next is a proclamation for Westside Baby, honoring Diaper Need Awareness Week. And again, I'd like to read that proclamation.
Please do.
Thank you. A proclamation by the Seattle City Council honoring Westside Baby and declaring Diaper Need Awareness Week. Whereas diaper need, the condition of not having a sufficient supply of clean diapers to ensure that infants and toddlers are clean, healthy, and dry, can adversely affect the health and welfare of infants, toddlers, and their families. And national surveys report that 1 in 3 mothers experience diaper need at some time while their children are less than 3 years old. and 48% of families delay changing a diaper to extend their supply, and the average infant and toddler require nearly 50 diaper changes per week. And there are no government assistance programs for the purchase or provision of diapers, and a monthly supply of diapers can cost as much as 6% of a full-time minimum wage worker's salary. Therefore, obtaining a sufficient supply of diapers can cause real economic hardship to families. And a supply of diapers is generally an eligibility requirement for infants and toddlers to participate in childcare programs and quality early education programs. And the people of Seattle recognize that addressing diaper need can lead to economic opportunity for the state's low-income families and can lead to improved health for families and their communities. And whereas Seattle is proud to be home to various community organizations, such as Westside Baby, that recognize the importance of providing equitable access to diapers to ensure families in our city are healthy, strong, and supported. Now, therefore, the Seattle City Council hereby proclaims the week of September 24th through September 30th, 2018 as Diaper Need Awareness Week.
Thank you, Councilor Bolt.
My thanks to the council for inviting us here once again in recognition of Diaper Need Awareness Week. We're delighted to receive our second proclamation in support of raising awareness about this very important issue with the City Council and everybody that is in the audience and watching on TV. We want to let you know that highlighting this issue for us is absolutely priceless, and it's priceless for the kids in Seattle that need what we can provide. Many of you on the council already know about diaper need, and for many in the community, though, it's still not recognized as a basic need that children have to have in order to thrive. For thousands of babies right here in Seattle, I think there's 3,000 that are school-age kids that are homeless. The numbers that are the infants are just much, much higher, and we want to make sure that we're providing for those basic needs. And as a reminder, as Council Member Herbold mentioned, food stamps and no other government assistance are supporting diaper need or any other benefit program for struggling families. So I say that, and I'm hoping that perhaps this year is the year that we can work together even more deeply to ensure that we're supplying diapers to the caregivers and the early learning programs and those that are trying to rejoin workforce programs to make sure that their children can be adequately cared for while they are trying to move out of the situations that they are in. I think we can partner with the city and see what kind of innovative things that we can do that will have really immediate impacts. We at Westside Baby provide diapers and other material items such as clothing and car seats, cribs, and all the things that allow a baby to get from A to B with a family and to grow up thriving, not just surviving. We operate a facility in White Center that serves thousands of Seattle families, as well as a new facility in South Lake Union, so much closer to all of you, so please stop by. We are volunteer-driven and have opportunities, thousands of opportunities all year long for people to come and support this important issue. So the diapers that we're giving out are supporting families and hundreds of social service agencies that are working on the really deep issues that families are facing. Relocation after moving to this country, job reentry, recovering from a very serious medical condition. So when families are facing these issues, we are the safety net. And what we're providing free of charge. And all of the service providers are then able to really get deep with the families to help them move out of the situations and address the underlying issues. These families are facing more limited resources, much less opportunities, and increased barriers to overcome. And we support working families to a more resilient situation. And I'd venture to say that every single one of you needed diapers at some point, even Mr. Zimmerman. And so therefore, we want to make sure that we can take care of everyone so they can grow up to be wonderful adults.
I need a diaper too, yeah, you're right.
I also wanted to just say that within that context, every human and every child matters. And some of those in the Seattle area require a little help to have a more even playing field. And I want to paint just a couple of pictures for you as we're thinking about which families we're serving. First of all, I want you just to put yourself in the position that you were in when you left your house this morning. What are the things that you had to do? You might have walked a dog. You probably had to find some shoes for yourself. Some of you had to feed or clothe or diaper a baby or a niece or nephew or a grandchild. Imagine the wrench in your day if just one of the material items you needed to get out the door wasn't there. Just what does that do? What does it do to your peace of mind? What does it do to your schedule? And those things could be the dog leash, it could be your shoes, it could be fundamentally the things that a baby would need or a child would need to be able to function through the day. And the struggling caregivers that we're dealing with are addressing issues like that probably 100 times over every day when they leave the house. So we are trying to provide items just to make their situations a little bit more tenable, to allow them to be better contributors to society, and to really help us address the disparities that we all know exist right here in Seattle for the families that we are serving. And I'll also mention there was the 1 in 3 mothers that are struggling study was mentioned. Thank you in the proclamation. We've also had a recent study that 3 in 5.
I have 28 agenda items, so go ahead and you have to start wrapping up just a little bit. Please, it's exciting stuff, but I can't let every nonprofit take this long, so go ahead, please.
I appreciate that. I'm sorry, I did not know what the time limit was. But we are almost finished. 3 in 5 families are missing work and childcare within this very month because they don't have enough diapers. And I think that's pretty staggering for you to think about. And thank you so much for your time. With respect, I will move away. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I certainly apologize to Westside Baby and to you if that was rude, but I have to realize that it is such an important need that you're passionate about it. But we're also passionate about 28 agenda items. But thank you very much. And Councilman Herbold, thank you very much for presenting this to the council.
Thank you for giving us the
just to
opportunity.
reiterate, this is Diaper Awareness Week, and the disparities and the lack of that kind of care for our children, we should be very aware of it. Thank you very much. With that, we're going to move to public comment, and we have, I think, 2, maybe 3 sign-up, 3 sheets that are full. So typically, we allow for 20 minutes. And we try to get through the number of speakers at 2 minutes, an allotment. But we're going to take it down to 1 minute so I can hear from as many people as possible and hopefully everybody. So try to confine your remarks to 1 minute so we can hear from more people. And we'll start off with, in the order that you signed up, Tim Lewicki, followed by Jeffrey Harmon, and then third will be Joanne Williams.
I'm a little nervous following Diaper Week. So 10 years ago, the city had its heart ripped out. The Sonics moved to Oklahoma and not only took the NBA team with it, but the heart and soul of Seattle Center and the campus. 2 years ago, the city put out a request to begin to create a new vision for how we could take Seattle Center and the KeyArena and turn it into a world-class point of destination that the city and everyone that lives in and around this city deserve. Today, we are here in the final step with the city, and that is to create a partnership, to create a world-class arena, and to ultimately add another huge point of destination to that wonderful campus right in the middle of Seattle. It is the beginning of another process. A week from now, with my brother, our partners in the ownership group, we will be before the NHL as we try to convince them about the great merits of Seattle and the new arena that we will be building at Seattle Center. Sometime between now and December, we will hopefully get approval and begin to push dirt. We will also continue on behalf of the city of Seattle and the Northwest Territory to continue to push aggressively to bring an NBA team to join both the NHL team, if we're lucky enough to win the bid, and more importantly, join the Storm, the WNBA championships in the new arena in Seattle. We promised you 2 years ago we'd build it privately. We promised you 2 years ago we
Please
would
start
not
to wrap
put the
up, Mr.
taxpayers
Lewicki.
at risk. We've
Time's up,
tried
sir.
to do that. And so from our standpoint, we're here today to finish that partnership we
Thank you very
started with
much.
you and get on with our lives.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Mr. Lewicki. Look forward to working with you if it passes. Jeffrey Harmon, followed by Joanne Williams.
Council President Harold, members of the council, my name is Jeffrey Herman. I'm the managing director at Seattle Repertory Theater. I'm here to speak in support of the arena deal. Seattle Rep is a direct neighbor to the arena. I can say that the Rep, along with many of our colleagues on Seattle Center campus, have been part of a very thorough and inclusive process, really nicely orchestrated by our friends at Seattle Center, along with other processes orchestrated by other stakeholders in the neighborhood, including the Uptown Alliance. I can say I felt heard, I have felt included. I think we genuinely have a partner in OVG that really cares about the welfare of the other neighbor organizations on Seattle Center campus, and is going to continue to work with us and collaborate with us to mitigate whatever effects we're going to see from construction over the next couple of years and beyond. So I urge you to sign the agreement. Let's get the arena renovated and kickstart the revitalization of Seattle Center for a new generation. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Joanne Williams, followed by Leslie Shelton, and then Kate Nolan.
Good afternoon, members of the council, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Joanne Williams. I am the Director of Property Management for NHTSA Stagen, and I'm here to speak on behalf of, in support of the recertification of the SODO BIA, which I believe is item number 20 today. We own and manage the Starbucks Center in SODO, which is really relevant for two reasons. First, we represent about 6,000 people who come to work in that building every single day, and we are also one of the largest ratepayers of the SODO BIA assessments. That neighborhood definitely has some unique challenges. There are a lot of competing interests in SODO, and the BIA has worked tirelessly to advocate on behalf of all of us, which isn't an easy thing to do. We could not even begin to replicate a fraction of the work that the SODO BIA does on a regular basis. And so again, fully support the recertification and hope that you do too. Thank you.
Thank you. Leslie Shelton, Kate Nolan, and Rick Hooper.
Hi, my name is Leslie Shelton. I'm a small business owner in SODO, and I am in huge support of the SODO BNI. I'm here today to tell you what happened to me last Friday. We are very blessed to have had Councilwoman Gonzalez visit us a couple days prior to my incident, but I had the opportunity to explain to her how dangerous it is in our work environment, how I am scared to death to go to work every single day because my life has been threatened multiple times. I have had my business defecated on. I have had urine poured all over my doors. I've had my life, my dog threatened. I brought this to the attention of the councilwoman. I told her about 2 specific RVs and that these RVs were dangerous. The officers knew it. Their hands were tied. No one was willing to do anything. I am an average, everyday, tax-paying, law-abiding citizen that needs somebody to finally, once in their life, stand up for the we of this community. Not me, not I, we. We make up this city. You represent us. Start protecting us. I was mauled by 3 dogs. They took me down. They tried to kill my dog. They severed my hand. They bit the living daylights out of my leg. I have medical bills. I have vet bills. I'm going to probably have to get an attorney. Who's there to back me?
Thank you very much.
Who's there to help me out?
Thank you, ma'am.
None of you.
Thank you very much.
I need your support, and I need you to start standing up for the citizens that pay the taxes and pay your salaries.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Kate Nolan and then Rick Hooper.
Hi, my name is Kate Nolan. I am here on behalf of Sally Del Fiero with the Port of Seattle, speaking in support of the SODO BIA. The Port was a founding member of the BIA board and has been an active participant and supporter since 2013. The Port is a major landowner in the area, invested in Seattle's industrial community, dedicated to job creation, and sensitive to transportation issues, so our involvement in the BIA is a natural connection to Port business. Keeping SODO clean and safe for all have been two key priorities where BIA has made a real difference. Street sweeping, litter cleanups, and a public mural program, and tailgate dumpsters and porta-johns are just some of the many examples of ways the BIA is staying on top of a never-ending need for stewardship in the area. The BIA's contract with SPD and supplemental security has a sizable impact on deterring crime. However, public safety remains a critical concern in the area. The organization is fortunate to have outstanding leadership through Executive Director Erin Goodman and her team, and strong support from SODO ratepayers to move forward for the next 10 years. On behalf of the Port of Seattle, I urge you to continue and expand these efforts for the benefit of all in SODO. Thank you.
Following Rick is Shalise, just one sec, Rick, Shalise Montgomery, and then Deborah Frosto.
I'm Rick Hooper, co-president of the Uptown Alliance. We completely support and are excited about Council's soon-to-happen vote this afternoon on the Arena documents. A lot of very good work has gone into these documents. We especially appreciate the attention to community benefit issues. We look forward to continuing our work together as we now start down various process paths to address key issues in more detail. On that point, we also encourage Council support for proposed resolution 31841. Complicated but critical work remains on transportation impacts and opportunities. And thanks to Councilmember Johnson for adding the resolution to the mix of documents and the work last week to adjust and refine the language. Today is a great day. Thanks.
Thank you, Rick. Following Shalise will be Deborah Frosto and then Fred Anderson.
Good afternoon. My name is Shalise Montgomery. I am a resident of the Central District. I am also a Black contractor, and I am in support of the KeyArena project. I am asking for your support in making sure 10% of the contracts are awarded to Black contractors. This was done with the same company that is running this project right here in Atlanta, the Mercedes Stadium, and it was very successful. A lot of Black contractors were able to feed their families. Right now in the Central District, as many of you may or may not know, a lot of Black people are not able to afford to stay there any longer. And I've been a resident for a long time. And in the 70s, there was a big sign that said, "The last one leaves, turn off the lights." And that was for Boeing. And the city, the state, and the feds came in and helped Boeing regain their contracts, and now they're surviving. We need that same attitude from you all right now to help us secure contracts with these companies that are here, and we really need your help to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Debbie Frosto from Uptown Alliance. Sincere congratulations to everyone on getting to the vote on the Arena today. I love the saying, goals are dreams with deadlines. This council and city had a dream to turn KeyArena into a world-class venue. And with ambitious deadlines set by this council, the goals are met to vote on a privately funded new arena that will strengthen Seattle Center's economic vitality as well as be transformational for Uptown and our surrounding neighborhoods. So now I ask that we set another goal by having a dream with another deadline. By opening day, let's move the needle and become a model for other cities around the world, showing how a world-class venue surrounded by vibrant urban neighborhoods can provide a great fan experience with the lowest percentage of attendees arriving by car. Let's get behind setting a deadline by opening day to build pedestrian bicycle safety improvements, increase monorail and transit capacity, and develop great incentives for people to choose to travel to the Seattle Arena some way other than by automobile. Thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you. Following Fred Anderson will be Russ Saunders and then Javon Hudson.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fred Anderson. I wanted to express my concerns of the racial discrimination from the city that marred the same kind of experience that I've received from the contractors on the First Hill streetcar project. Failure of the contractor and a lack of support of payment from SDOT has resulted in the demise of my company of over 20 plus years. Although Nancy Locke and Aliana Candia supported my reimbursement, they were constantly overruled by Ian Warner and his aides. All of this has been devastating not only to me, but to the African American construction community as a whole. If the council wants me to any questions, I'll be happy to answer those questions in writing. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Russ Saunders, followed by Javon Hudson.
Hello, my name is Russ Saunders, and I represent my family's business, Handy Andy Rent-A-Tool, and I'd like to speak on the Aurora neighborhood. Aurora, with the current rezone, is planning to change C1 and C2 abutting properties to NC3. This really hurts a lot of small businesses. My business is finally vested in our new place, but we're still waiting on permits that take very long with this city the way it is. But the issue is that we're losing 26% if this MHA rezone goes through in the last 3 years of our C1 and C2 properties. That puts a lot of stress on those businesses who can't relocate and who have to move outside the city, putting an undue stress on surrounding communities to be able to have that zoning. And I encourage you not to rezone the properties abutting Aurora because it doesn't prevent apartments, it just prevents businesses from doing what they've done for 80 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Javon Hudson, followed by Alana Nastor.
President Harrell, members of the council, my name is Jevon Hudson, and I'm here on behalf of the ACLU of Washington. I commend the council and the Committee of Governance, Equity, and Technology for moving forward on implementing the surveillance ordinance. I am here to testify in support of the amended bill as passed out of the GET committee because it establishes two important safeguards: the working group and interim reporting. These are important both for getting the work moving and for ensuring that the public has at least some knowledge about these technologies prior to the council reviewing them. The working group in particular will allow impacted communities a direct way to provide their feedback on surveillance technologies to the council. Although it's unfortunate that the city is out of compliance with the original deadlines, we will now have a firm set of deadlines moving forward. The executive also committed to beginning implementation and stated in committee that they had SIRS ready to go and would post by October 9th. We commend the council for creating the working group and allowing the community a direct avenue to advise the council. Given all the delay that has already happened, interim reporting via equity impact assessments and surveillance usage reports beginning in 2019 is critical. Please support the amended bill as passed out of the GET committee with additional technical amendments by council members O'Brien and Harrell. Thank you.
Thank you. Alana will be followed by Kevin Watley and then Clara Cantor.
My name is Alana Nastor, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the Uptown Arts and Culture Coalition, one of the 4 arts districts that the city has designated in our community. We are here today to support the approval of the Seattle Center Arena project and the transaction documents that are before you. We have been working collaboratively with the city staff, OVG, and our sister community organizations on many aspects of this project. We know that no project is perfect, and we recognize the importance in this instance of what we might describe as an adaptive management approach to construction mitigation, as well as future operations of the arena. We're therefore especially supportive of Councilmember Johnson's resolution, which will keep the council involved and we think is critical as we move forward. We also appreciate the designation of the Uptown Arts and Culture Coalition to participate on the coordinating council that is about to begin its work into the future and perhaps maybe even for 30 years, working on everyday issues in the arena. And we hope that that will be very successful. Last, we are particularly appreciative of the arts fee that OVG has volunteered to make on behalf of this project, and especially for their insistence that a significant portion of that fee be dedicated to activation rather than to stationary art. Not that we as an arts and culture organization don't believe in stationary art.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
just wrap
thank
up. You had a closing. If you're just trying to wrap up, you had a closing statement, just sort of get there. I'm not trying to be rude. I do apologize. But our next speaker.
Members, thank you for your time. And for the Planning and Land Use Council members, I apologize if you've heard some of this before, but my name is Kevin Watley, and I'm here to represent my community, my urban village, which is the Aurora-Licton Urban Village. and our acronym is ALOVE. And a lot of neighbors and a lot of City of Seattle is unaware of us, but it's because we've been underserved, unrepresented for so long. In fact, we border 5 different community councils, and no one has ever looked out for us before. But a bunch of proactive, reasonable neighbors and businesses decided to roll up our sleeves and to dig in, organize the community, and be North Seattle proud and move our community forward. And the issue today, what brings me here, is action item number 22. And it's a very small step to building our community together, because that's what we believe. In fact, the mission and goal of ALOVE is to build a pedestrian-safe, visually vibrant, economically sound, inclusive urban village. And I want to be respectful of all the diversity of opinions of how to do that. Thank you for your time, and vote to help move our community forward today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Clara Cantor. I'm a community organizer with Seattle Neighborhood Greenways. I'm here to thank you all for all of the time and energy that you've spent considering the transportation-related aspects of the arena redevelopment. I'd specifically like to thank Councilmember Johnson for the resolution and Councilmember O'Brien for the proposed amendment to that resolution. In particular, I'd like to highlight the need for really completing key connections for people biking and for people walking, and zooming out and seeing these bike routes as a full connected network rather than just isolated infrastructure in order to be fully used by everyone in our city. I'd like to encourage the full council to vote to pass the resolution and the accompanying amendment, and to really recognize that transportation is a social justice issue, and that every time council works for better mobility and for better access to our cultural centers, you're helping the city achieve our environmental goals and our equity goals, and I just think that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. So unless there's objection, I'm going to extend public comment. We've actually come up to approximately the 20-minute segment, but we just have about maybe 10 to 11 more speakers. So unless there's objection, I'm going to just keep rolling through it. So let's keep going with Megan Conaway, and then Megan will be followed by Nicole Grant.
Hello. Hi, I'm Megan Conaway, and I'm speaking here today on behalf of Cascade Bicycle Club. And we're here in support of the Resolution 3184-1, and we are also in support of the amendment proposed by Councilmember O'Brien. I'll keep this short, so hopefully we can get to vote on it today and all the other agenda items. Basically, completing bike connections that surround the arena and uptown will help to connect nearby neighborhoods, thereby benefiting everyone, not just those biking today. This is something that's important to getting more people biking, more types of riders, and more connections throughout the entire city. So I hope you will vote yes in support of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. You're the first person who said I'll keep it short and actually kept it short.
Well done, Megan.
Okay. Nicole Grant will be followed by Brian Robinson.
Thank you, Council President Harrell. Nicole Grant of the Martin Luther King County Labor Council. We represent over 100,000 workers in a growing King County, and I have to say, our priorities are to have a city that is welcoming and that has a great quality of life. And we think that being able to redo our arena at the Seattle Center is an important step towards that aim. I want to say that when the arena deal was brought to the city and its citizens, the workers that are a part of the Labor Council were faced with a lot of opportunity and a lot of risk. And it's great to be able to be here now and say that working with the Oakview Group was incredible, and that the City Council as well exhibited tremendous leadership. So special thank you to Councilwoman Juarez.
Thank you.
Brian Robinson, I'm a member of the community panel on the arena. I just wanted to take a minute to say that over the last decade, innumerable times people have said to me, just build an arena, just bring the Sonics back, just pay for it all privately, just pass the legislation. And putting the word just in front of things does not make it easy. And for those of you who've been here since the beginning and those who are relatively new, it has not been an easy process. And you have a very difficult job It's really hard to make people happy. It's really hard to keep the perspective and the priorities when everybody values different things. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you as individuals. We very much appreciate your service, and I wouldn't want your job. Thank you.
Hey, Brian. Mike McQuaid. Mike McQuaid will be followed by Ryan, is it Diramo?
Council President Harrell, honorable council members, my name is Mike McQuaid. I'm the chair of the South Lake Union Community Council Transportation Committee. I'm also a member of the city's KeyArena Redevelopment Community Advisory Group. I'm also a fourth-generation Seattleite. I'd like to commend the city, the Oakview Group, and particularly our neighborhoods for taking a neighborhood-first approach and moving this project through. The project is more than an arena development. It's a world-class community, neighborhood, and civic advancement catalyst for our city, state, and region. There's some real world-class thinking that went on here. Thank you. I expect it to inspire dividends well beyond our Stanley Cups in this city, our NBA championships, and our WNBA championships and great music. Your yes vote today demonstrates how our city can work together as a team. It's progressive, competitive, transparent, it's accountable. This is our Seattle. This is the work that I'm most proud of, working together with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Following Ryan will be Andrea Friedland.
Hi, my neighborhood, A-Love, is a residential urban village 6 miles north of downtown, and over a quarter of our land is dedicated to industrial zoning. The city has 1,555 acres of C1 and C2 zoning. We have 57. That's about 3.7%. It's not about if residential is allowed in C1 or C2 zoning. It's about the other uses those zones permit. Uses that are outlined in the interim controls legislation that do not comply with the comprehensive plan. Sometimes the city needs to control land use when the market can't. In downtown, many of the zones double the allowable building height if you build residential rather than commercial office. This is the type of leadership that we need. You received 111 voices of support from residents, businesses, and even a King County council member. I believe they only received 4 letters of opposition, the same opposition that's plagued Aurora for over 20 years. Ballard and South Lake Union are historically industrial neighborhoods. They changed their zoning, and now they're true urban villages. That's the vision that we have, and that's the vision that we support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Don't start our time yet. Just put our time back, please. I just want to get the speakers ready so they could get prepared. So following Andrea will be Dale Bright and then John Yasutaki. My apologies. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Andrea Friedland, business representative for the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, local number 15, the stagehands who work at Seattle Center and KeyArena, whom I'm very proud to represent. About a dozen of whom are here with me. I hope you guys will all raise your hands so everybody knows who you are. We have been here. We have been incredibly pleased with the engagement of the council, of the Oakview Group, of the Seattle Center, of the executives negotiating these agreements. We are very thankful of the care that you have taken to take care of our workers, and we hope that that will continue for the next 2 years as we take a little bit of a hit with the hope of jobs for a very, very long time, not only for our workers, but for their families, for their children, for their children's children. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Council President, council members, I'm Dale Bright, President of the King County Labor Council, Political Director of Labor's Local 242. I want to thank you for this agreement. This is a great project moving forward. I really want to thank the Oakview Group for negotiating a community workforce agreement to allow community members access to careers in the building trades and ladders out of the poverty into the middle class. We really do appreciate that. I'll be short and really want to extend a thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Following John Yasutaki will be the Honorable Michael Fuller.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and the distinguished members of the council. It's going to be very short. I would ask you to please take a look at the issues that Fred Anderson raised on a city project. We at the Washington State Civil Rights Coalition believe that he was a victim of discrimination, is no longer in business. The lack of compliance and the lack of oversight on that project would probably be something that you all would want to look at, in as much as it involved millions of dollars of public money. And to find that discrimination has occurred, some of the information that you'll get will be very, it's it's unimaginable the kind of information that was passed on in Fred's situation. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak on that.
Thank you. Following the Honorable Michael Fuller will be Tara, is it Waters?
Yeah, I'm the Honorable Michael Fuller, Sue I. Jewers, Private Attorney General Jewers D. Jewers. Association Against Homes in America for our homeless veterans and families, racism, low-income housing, save our children, our elders. I have a serious problem with you 9 bigots in violation of that Federal Immigration and Nationality Act. And H.R. 3003, no sanctuary for criminal acts. And H.R. 3004, case law. And H.R. 309, enforcement of sanctuary city law. Organized Crime Control Act, October 15, 1970, Bruce Harrell, president, over our veterans. But you don't like my daddy, huh? He served 2.5 decades, Bruce Harrell. But you the president, and our veterans sleeping on the streets right today, Bruce Harrell. That's called a conflict, Bruce Harrell. I done told y'all about the conflict. When it's a conflict.
Thank you, Honorable.
With Bruce Harrell.
Thank you, brother.
Bruce Harrell.
Yes, sir.
It ain't over.
And
my God, I got your address.
Thank you, Honorable.
And your phone number.
Thank you, Honorable. And after the Honorable, we'll have Tara and then Alex Zimmerman.
And thank you for the time. I'm Tara Weffers. I'm the president of the board of Pottery Northwest. We're here to also say thank you to you for your hard work on this arena redevelopment deal. Also to thank OBG for all the partnership and the Seattle Center. I see you out there as well. To thank you for listening to us, to having us feel seen. We're small but mighty. We look forward to growing, and we look forward to being at the Seattle Center for another 50 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our last 2 speakers I have signed up are Alex Zimmerman and then Marguerite Richard.
Thank you, sir. Hi, my name is Alex Zimmerman, and everybody know me. So I want to speak about something that is for me very confused. Last week, article from Stranger, very progressive fascist newspaper, talk about KeyArena will cost us $500 million people taxpayer money. And mention council, what is doing very bad job. I totally agree with. Progressive fascist newspaper Stranger. She's not only doing bad job, she's doing a criminal job. $500 million, people money, when people dying right now, in street and everywhere. When you stop and rip up poor people with tunnel, with sound transit, with another BS that costs us $1 billion and $1 billion. When you stop and acting like a gangster, like a bandita. Sie Heil, my Führer, we need clean this dirty chamber.
Thank you, sir. And our last speaker will be Marguerite Richard.
Yeah, I'm Miss Richard here, and I guess I just wanted to take up where I left off the last time I was here. I believe you were escorting me out. And so when we think of restrictions in an hour and opportunity for us to free everybody, it seems like you people are hell-bent on keeping blacks oppressed. I was just so heartfelt by this black man here. I don't really know much about his life, but he said he was a black contractor. And you know, for one, I come down here all the time speaking against racism and discrimination. So if you are what you are to mankind, then how can a black man in his day and age come down here and tell you that discrimination is still going on? Huh? You explain that to me in 13 seconds, 11, 10, huh? You quiet on me, okay? So if you want the race war to start, you starting it. You're starting it because just like that woman said, the dogs is chewing her up and you can't do nothing about her, even having a dog chewing on her.
Thank you, Ms. Richard. Thank you for your comments. So that's going to conclude public comment section, and we're going to move on to our agenda, which will be the payment of the bill. So please read the title, Madam Clerk.
Council Bill 119360, a property manager to place ardent claims and ordering payment thereof.
I'd like to move to pass Council Bill 119360. It's been moved and seconded that the bill pass. Any further comments? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Gonzalez. Herbold.
Can we just delay that bill payment as I speak slowly, and Councilmember Gonzalez will hear her vote. Councilmember Gonzalez, you're the first vote, ma'am.
Payment of bills.
That would be an aye.
All righty. Herbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Aye. President Harrell.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Please read the first agenda item.
The report of the Select Committee on Civic Arenas, Agenda Item 1, Council Bill 119345, relating to KeyArena, authorizing the renovation of KeyArena into a world-class multi-purpose sports and entertainment arena at Seattle Center, including its design, construction, lease, financing, and future operations. Committee recommends the bill pass as amended.
Councilmember Juarez.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Before I go into my more official comments, I want to thank everybody who are here today and who have been coming to all of our public hearings, our committee meetings, to provide public comment on this very important piece of legislation. Again, I just want to remind everyone that it is 2018. Let's not live in the past. We just celebrated our third WNBA national championship. Go Seattle Storm. Thank you, owners of Seattle Storm. I guess sometimes when I hear people just go on and on about 08 and their hearts being ripped out, I get a little annoyed because that was 10 years ago, so you kind of got to let that go. So we are starting a new day here in the city with the new partnership, and I'm very, very happy and excited. The Select Committee on Civic Arenas made a unanimous recommendation on September 14th, 2018, that the City Council pass Council Bill as amended. This, as many of you know, is a few years in the making. Dozens of committee and city council meetings, private briefings, community events, individual briefings, and tons of paper and notebooks, but we're finally here. I want to thank my co-chair, President Harrell. I want to thank the client group who worked with me closely, Councilmember Bagshaw representing District 7, and Councilmember Johnson. Your participation and willingness to work with me, as well as your staff, was invaluable. I know we spent a lot of time together, and you're probably tired of me and all the notebooks. A special thank you to my amazing D5 team in my office, both past and present, Brindell, Nagin, Tyler, Mercedes, Sabrina, and Shayna. Hundreds and hundreds of hours of putting together notebooks and reading and highlighting and collating and making sure that my colleagues had all the information they needed to make the right decision. And a very particular, wonderful thank you to our director, Kirsten Arnstead. Where are you, Kirsten? Please raise your hand. This woman is amazing. I'm going to go a little bit off script here. I don't think people realize how hard, and I think I can say Kirsten. Kirsten is the glue that makes it happen. She's the one that makes sure all the charts, all the analysis, that takes it very sophisticated, complicated ideas and all these transaction documents and boils it down, and we all work together to make sure they got done, and I could not have done this job without her. So I told her when I leave this job someday, I'm taking her with me. So I'll leave it at that. I also want to be a special thanks to OVG and their team. Your commitment, both financial and civically, to our great city is very, very much appreciated. We appreciate the time you took for us in the last about 18 months to work with us through many drafts and many documents, and I cannot tell you, it was a labor of love, but it was well worth it. I want to thank the leadership and the cooperation of the executive team, particularly Mayor Jenny Durkin, Robert Nellums, Marshall Foster, the two Carls, Carl Steckel and Carl Hirsch, Ben Noble. Thank you, Ben, for all your hard work. And of course, our legal team, Greg Narver, and our experts, most notably for me anyway, was Mr. Abrams from NYU. Mr. Abrams, again, spent a considerable amount of time who the legislative city council hired to walk us through the most difficult documents, making sure that we understood due diligence, equity, financing, backstops, all that stuff. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are all proud of the hard work everybody contributed to deliver us here today. And in particular, I want to thank the City of Seattle and all the dedicated public servants who I did not list off today, who spent countless hours and time, and of course, all my colleagues and their legislative staff that came to meetings and took the time to meet with me and Kirsten and anyone who would listen about any material or any information or anything that they didn't understand. And one last thank you to the wonderful community groups that reached out to me that we met with so we could accommodate all of the needs of the residents, not only within the development zone, but those outside of the development zone. And I believe that this is just the beginning of a wonderful new era. 2018 is our year to make our city, I almost said that line, I'm not going to say, I almost said make Seattle great again. No, that's not what I was going to say. Seattle is already great. We are going to make it greater, and this is a phenomenal partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Juarez. Councilmember Bagshaw.
Good. Thank you very much, and thanks to all of you who are here. Many of you were here with us 2.5 years ago, and I think I opened up my comments with something like, sometimes you have to stand up what's right, even if you have to stand alone. And fortunately, I had a number of my colleagues who were willing to stand with me, and notwithstanding some of the stuff that we heard over the last 1.5 years, we have really been heartened by the support that we have received from all of you and from Oakview Group. Kirsten and Robert and Marshall, all of, Deborah's already sung your praises, but I just also want to say that when we first put this out in an RFP, the goal was to say, Seattle and the Seattle Center and the KeyArena are assets that are worth saving, and not just saving, but revitalizing. And I am so excited today that the objectives that we had laid out included provide the world-class civic arena that will attract and present music, entertainment, and sports events, potentially including an NHL and an NBA. We know the NHL is within our grasp. I believe we'll see NBA by 2025. That we're going to integrate and connect with Uptown and Debbie Frosto, Rick Hooper, many of you who have been leading this charge. This is so important to me as the person who represents District 7. This is an incredible opportunity for us to design and permit, develop, and construct, again, with minimal financial participation from the city. This is a big deal. It is a different deal than we were looking at 2.5 years ago. And I, too, want to extend my thanks to Oakview Group for the work that you have envisioned, because it's going to be very exciting to see what Seattle Center can become. And I'm also thrilled that our bicycle network is going to be extended. Thank you to Cascade Bicycle Club, to Neighborhood Greenways for the work you've done, and also for those who want to see the pedestrian connections. So, just want to also say thank you to our labor community, Daryl Bright, Nicole Grant, for the participation and what you showed us, that we are standing together here, that is not an us versus them city, but having the community development agreement, the local hire, and then we've also heard from our arts. Uptown is an art and culture overlaid neighborhood now. So connecting that with Uptown and with Belltown is important. And also, I just want to know that remind folks that the neighborhood was involved and the neighbors were heard. The notion of building affordable housing units right in Uptown and Belltown, establish an innovative mobility strategy that puts pedestrians first. This is what we're going to be doing. And I don't know if Alan Hart is in our audience today or not, but he's the one that introduced me to this mobility action plan, the map, and making sure that we are connected. I'm excited about what we're doing. I'm very grateful to my colleague, Councilmember Juarez. I just appreciate so much your leadership on this, and you're putting the stake in the ground and saying we are going to have a deadline. I love what Debbie Frosto said. It's that dreams with deadlines, and your goal was that to bring us here today, get us moving, and I'm so hopeful that we have the NHL team soon so we can start the construction. So many thanks again to all of you that have been here. I'm just very grateful to be working with you.
Thank you, Councilmember Bagshaw. Councilmember O'Brien, would you like to say a few words?
Just briefly. I want to thank the folks that have worked on this a little less than a year ago when we considered the agreement of the MOU to move forward. I had some concerns at those time and voted no on that. And I want to say that those concerns have largely been addressed. I'll speak to the specifics around transportation when we get to the resolution, but proud to be supporting it today and I look forward for the next couple of years. There's still work to do, but I think we can get there.
Thank you, Councilmember O'Brien. So we have item 1 in front of us. Would any of my colleagues like to share some more? Councilmember Johnson, please.
Just briefly, since there's a lot of things on the agenda today and everybody else's speeches have been really short, in the interest of time, I just want to say how proud I am to be here. We have had a long road to get to this point, but to Councilmember Juarez's suggestion earlier, it has been really incredible experience to work with so many different and great people on this project. We've got an agreement where we all share in some risks and some rewards, but we are going to build a world-class venue that is going to be home to some world championship teams. And ideally, one of those will be a basketball team from the men's side to join the great basketball team that we have from the women's side. And
He's good alone.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, I brought my little bobblehead friend today, thanks to a friend of mine who gave that to me after the last unsuccessful vote and said, stick with it. This is an important thing to a lot of people in the city. And I'm really proud that we have a commitment not only to build a new arena, but also that arena is going to contribute $2.5 million into our mandatory housing affordability program, that it's going to commit $10 million to youth care and another $10 million in the Giving Fund, $3.5 million to public art. And it's going to be part of a community in Seattle Center where we have intentionally set up a lot of really incredible arts and cultural institutions, and it's going to respect and work with those arts and cultural institutions. My significant other spent 6 years on the fundraising staff at PNB, and I'm a big believer in the culture that we've created at Seattle Center, and I'm grateful to you, Director Nellums, for continuing that culture. So I'm just really excited. I'm going to get a lot less harassment from my taller, more athletically inclined cousins at Christmas this year. At 6'3", I get made fun of a lot for being one of the shortest members of the family, and for them, I am very grateful to you all for your vote today, because I think this is going to be a really, really incredible project, and I'm so proud to have been part of it.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Any other comments from any of my colleagues? Let me say a few words. I'd just like to start off saying that my heart was torn in 2008.
Oh, God.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Okay.
Thank you.
In all seriousness, this is just a great deal for the city, for the residents, for the businesses. So Oakview, hopefully with a successful vote, is no longer our adversarial in a contractual way. They are our partners, and I think they've already proven through this process they've been outstanding partners. So just a few things. Councilmember Juarez really drove the process. Your thoroughness was remarkable, so thank you for that. Director Kirsten Arstead and your team were phenomenal. Robert Nellums, your team, we had high expectations, and you rose to the occasion as you always do. So we thank you for that. And I just enjoyed Mike McQuaid's description that this is world class. This is a legacy project, and in the midst of, we just got off a big Seahawk win and a big Husky win, so we're riding high. But in the midst of all that sports stuff, we're not forgetting about the people that matter the most, the communities, the neighborhoods, the homeless, the housing needs. So this is a good deal for the city, and I'm very honored to support it. So, and with that, Councilman Morris, would you like to say anything, or are you ready to vote?
Despite being called a bandita today, yes, I think I'm ready for a vote.
All right. We good? Okay, here we go. Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
All right. Bill passes. Look at this. Big bill. That's got to be a record in terms of the size of a bill. My goodness. Please call the next agenda item when you are ready.
Agenda item 2, Council Bill 119344, pertaining to admission tax revenue received by the city, amending section 5.40.120 of the Seattle Municipal Code to revise uses of admission tax revenue. Committee recommends the bill pass as amended.
Councilmember Juarez.
Thank you. The Select Committee on Civic Arenas made a unanimous recommendation on September 14, 2018, that the City Council pass the Council Bill as amended. I move to amend Council Bill 119344, Section 1B2 by replacing Council Bill with number 119344 with 139345 as presented on Amendment 1.
Second.
Okay, so let's just take the amendment first. It's somewhat of a technical bill number change. Any questions on the amendment alone? So it's been moved and seconded to amend the bill by deleting the council bill number as described by Councilmember Juarez and adding a new bill number. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. 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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilmember Juarez, do you need to speak any more to the base bill?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Councilmember Herbo would like to share a few words.
Thank you. I just want to thank the Select Committee, thank Central Staff Director Aristad for working with me to make some changes to the legislation before it came to full council. The changes that we made in the Select Committee specified that the new use for admissions revenues applies only to the lease agreement for the arena and only with respect to the admissions tax generated through the operations of the new arena. The reason why this is so important is back in 2015, the City Council passed legislation allocating 75% of all of the ad tax revenue to go to fund the Office of Arts and Culture. In the next year, in 2016, the City Council sort of made a commitment to a multi-year ramp-up of admissions tax, with in 2016 going up to 80%, in 2017 going up to 90%, and in 2018, just last year, we brought it up to 100%. So this legislation, as it is before us today, allows us to maintain that commitment to the Office of Arts and Culture. So thank you.
Thanks for those comments, Councilmember Herbold. Any further comments before we vote? Please call the roll on the passage of the amended bill.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passed and the chair will sign it. Please read agenda item number 3.
The report of the City Council, Agenda Item 3, Resolution 31841, requesting reports from the Seattle Department of Transportation, the Seattle Department of Construction and Inspections, and the Seattle Center identifying transportation projects in the vicinity of the Seattle Center area, and describing the process for administering the Seattle Center Arena Transportation Management Plan.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thanks. So we have had several conversations about the transactional documents, and this resolution has something to do with the transactional documents, but is really more off to the side about the city process. As we contemplate the construction of a renewed KeyArena, I think it's really important that we think about how people get to and from that arena and the ways that we would build transportation infrastructure to get people, and particularly people who are not driving alone, to the arena. So this resolution responds to concerns that we've heard from community about the various different transportation projects that are planned for the neighborhood, which funding stream is going to be used to pay for those projects, and how the Department of Construction and Inspections, Department of Transportation, Seattle Center, and other various departments are coordinating the completion of those projects. It asks for some reporting back on the status of the construction of those projects and the funding associated with them, and asks those reports to be given back to the council twice a year starting in June of 2019. The two other points that I'd like to say before I know we've got an amendment on this topic, the city does have a set of goals and objectives we want the arena to achieve in terms of how many folks are driving to the arena versus carpooling, walking, biking, taking transit. And we've got those same objectives for folks that are working at the arena as well, and the folks who are working in the construction. So this is a complicated way of saying we've got a set of goals and objectives. We want to have the city work with the Arena Co folks on meeting those goals and objectives, and we want to hold ourselves accountable to making sure we build those projects on the correct timeline. So with that, why don't I stop there? We'll talk about amendments, and then we'll get the thing in front of us.
Thank you, Councilman Johnson. We'll walk through the amendments. Councilmember O'Brien, did you want to reserve your comments to the amendment part, or would you like to say anything now? We'll wait for the amendments? Okay. So, Councilmember Johnson, I have you scheduled for probably a substituted version.
So I think what I'm supposed to do here is move to pass Resolution 31841.
Second.
And I don't think we have a substitute. I think.
Okay, very good.
I think we now just have the amendment.
So it's been moved and seconded to pass the resolution as stated, so.
Oh, and now we do have to have a
we'll move to
substitute?
a substitute.
Okay. All right. I don't have that language in front of me. Is it substitute version A for?
7A for 3A, I believe.
Okay.
So would you like to move 7A for 3A?
I'd love that.
Okay, and I'll second that.
Would you second that? That'd be great.
Okay, this is a version change. Any other comments? All those in favor of substituting version 7A for version 3A, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. And I believe Councilmember O'Brien has an amendment he'd like to speak on.
I do. I would like to move amendment number 2 to resolution 31841, which adds some clarity to future actions about the bike master plan in the area of Seattle Center Arena and some report backs. And I'll speak to those in a second if I get a second.
Second.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say thanks, Councilmember Johnson, for your work on this resolution and your attention to transportation issues around this project. I also want to take a minute to say thanks to the staff team that are working on this. Mr. Nellums and his whole team at Seattle Center done an amazing work and worked particularly closely on the transportation issues with Marshall Foster and Kevin O'Neill and your team. So thank you for helping us get through the back and the forth. Want to thank community advocates. Some who are here today speaking. I really appreciate the excitement about the project and the excitement that we can become the arena with the lowest single occupancy vehicle mode split in the future going forward. I think that's a great goal. It's an ambitious goal. And I think we're committed to do what we can to make that happen. What the specific amendment does is, well, let me back up for a second. The timing of this was, it's obviously been working on this for quite a while, but it's also quite compressed with the environmental impact statement being done and the master use permit being issued. And so just in the last few weeks, we've been able to get clarity on what transportation projects are going to be required as part of the environmental impact statement and part of the master use permit. And there's a lot of great projects that are included in there, and I'm really appreciative of the work and look forward to seeing OVG and their team deliver on those. And there are other projects that we were excited to have happen that are not part of that permit. And so one thing this amendment does is ask the Department of Transportation to come back and say, there are other connections to the network, as there would be anywhere, that are still missing. And we would like to make sure we have clarity on what those pieces are, what streets we would plan to build those to make sure there's a safe pedestrian and bike access throughout the whole Seattle Center area. And then we can go through the bike master plan process to figure out where that falls in the priorities and where there might be future opportunities to fund those. This amendment also adds in some specific language about an expectation and requirement for the department to make regular reports back to the council and to work with the community in that process in the next 2 years. So the transportation plan, the AMP document, will continue to evolve as this project evolves. And as it evolves, I want to make sure there's opportunity for neighbors and advocates to be providing continuous input on what is going to be in that kind of traffic management plan, and the council wants to have a role in that too. And so this amendment includes language on how that will work out.
Very good. Any comments on the amendment? It's already been moved and seconded. So basically, the amendment adds the new section 3 as described by Councilmember O'Brien. All those in favor of the amendment, please vote aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is amended. Any further comments on the resolution as amended? Councilmember Johnson.
I just want to say thank you to Calvin Chow of our central staff. He really stepped into the space here and helped facilitate a lot of the coordination between different departments to get this thing done in a very short order. And so kudos to you, Calvin Chow. Thank you for all your good work.
Very good. Any further comments? Those in favor of adopting the resolution as amended, please vote aye. 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 Opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted and Chair will sign it. Please read the next agenda item.
Agenda item 4, Resolution 31840, providing an honorary designation of 2nd Avenue North from Harrison Street to Thomas Street as Seattle Stormway.
Councilmember Bagshaw, I think.
Mine.
So I did have it as Councilmember Bagshaw's, but she looked a little
A little
surprise
shocked.
there. So
Let's
we
just
could
say
all,
this.
we're all going to help
Okay.
you. Just
All right, so we can work on this. I want to say congratulations again to Seattle Storm. Thank you to the mayor's office. The mayor proposed and brought down one of the beautiful brown signs that designated that one block area to be Seattle Storm Way. So congratulations. And this is a honorary designation. It doesn't change anybody's address. So we'll be delighted to make this recommendation to call this Seattle Storm Way.
Very good. See, you were ready for it. See, I apologize. My note said Councilmember Bagshaw. Any other comments? Do we want to? She took the pass and she slam dunked it. So are we ready to vote on the resolution? This is exciting to change it to Stormway. Okay. I move to adopt Resolution 31840. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the resolution. Any further comments? Those in favor of adopting the resolution, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, vote no. The motion carries. The resolution is adopted, and the chair will sign it. Please read the next agenda item.
That's awesome.
The report of the Finance and Neighborhoods Committee, Agenda Item 5, Council Bill 119325, relating to historic preservation, imposing controls upon the Colonnade Hotel, Gatewood Apartments, a landmark designated by the Landmarks Preservation Board. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Councilmember Bagshaw.
Thank you very much. I think the next dozen are belonging to me. I was a little surprised about that first one. But the Colonnade Hotel has received a landmark designation, and the recommendation of the committee is that we move forward to impose controls on this site and building exterior. It was designated a year ago. The control features are just the building exterior and the site itself, and we recommend moving forward with this landmark designation.
Very good. Any further comments? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Juarez. O'Brien.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passed and chair will sign it. Please read agenda item number 6 with the short title.
Agenda Item 6, Council Bill 119348, relating to historic preservation, imposing controls upon the Anhalt Hall, a landmark designated by the Landmarks Preservation Board. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Councilmember Bagshaw.
Thank you very much. Anhalt Hall is in the U District at 711 Northeast 43rd. It was actually moved. The building was built in 1928, and they moved it from where I-5 is now over to where it is located on 43rd Street. This would be designated for the control features for the building exterior. The owner of the building was with us at our committee meeting, and we would like to move forward with this landmark designation and move adoption of Council Bill 119348.
Good. Any comments on this bill? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and chair will sign it. Please read the next agenda item, the short title.
Agenda Item 7, Council Bill 119338, authorizing 2018 acceptance of funding from non-city sources. The committee recommends the bill pass as amended.
Councilmember Bagshaw.
Thank you very much. These next two items on our agenda are companions. The first is to accept approximately $2.6 million of funding from external sources, $2.06 million in park-related grants for youth playfield at Smith Cove, playfield renovation at Brighton Playfield, $1.1 million for boat moorage renovation, $169,000 for out-of-school time programs, and then the $137,000 for regional EnviroStars, and $249,000 to update the Seattle Fire Department's hazardous materials response plan. So it's a total of $2.6 million. We will accept these grants and this external funding, and then I will move forward with our second quarter supplemental budget. But first, we have to accept the money, and then we'll spend it.
Very good. Any comments? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye. 8
in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed. Chair will sign it. Please read the next agenda item, the short title.
Council Bill 119339, amending Ordinance 125493, which amended the 2018 budget. The committee recommends the bill passes as amended.
Councilmember Bagshaw.
Thank you very much. The second quarter supplemental budget provides expenditure authority to use the grants in the grant acceptance ordinance that we just did for other budget revisions requested by various departments. The net operations appropriation will increase in the second quarter supplemental, including those grant-backed appropriations. It will be approximately $32.5 million, of which we do have money in the general fund to cover. And we recommend adoption of this ordinance.
Very good. Any comments? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Juarez. O'Brien.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passes and the chair will sign it. Please read the next agenda item.
Agenda item 9, Council Bill 119352, relating to the City Light Department amending Ordinance 125493. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Councilmember Bagshaw.
Thank you very much. This is the supplemental ordinance with summary details. One moment, please. We are still back. I just want to make sure I've got the right materials here in front of me.
Take your time. There's a lot of material you're going through, so.
Thank you. I just don't want to lose all of this. Okay, thank you. All right, so this is our $17.4 million budget transfer. So Seattle City Light presented a budget change to our committee for $17.4 million. This was really associated with their large capital project. And after they had gone through their project planning, they learned that there's an additional growth in our city of about 8,000 more advanced meters that were added to the AMI purchase. The whole project was forecasted as being $84.1 million, which was within their budget plus last year. And then as a result, when you do the math, that they needed to transfer $17.4 million in 2018. It's not a hit on our general fund. The money will be transferred from within existing resources to cover the budget changes. And we grilled them fairly hard about why did this happen. Many of us read about the failure to add sales tax in the original project. They had an explanation for why that happened. They've also put in procedures to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So with $14.7 million for the meter installation and another $2.7 for systems, IT, and licensing, that brings up the total of the $17.4 million they would like to transfer, and the committee recommends that that request be approved.
Very good. Any comments or questions? Councilman Gonzalez.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to thank the chair of the Finance and Neighborhoods Committee for allowing me an opportunity to be one of the individuals who was grilling the department around some of the additional allocations and appropriations that they were requesting. One of the concerns that I had expressed during committee was around what looked to be and is in fact a shifting of dollars from the city's LED streetlight conversions program, and also some funding that had been previously allocated to doing some right-of-way improvements. And my concern that the appropriation that was being suggested that we're about to take action on today would have a disproportionate impact on neighborhoods or communities who'd been waiting for the LED conversion to occur in their neighborhoods. Of course, this is an important program for public safety reasons and livability concerns. Just wanted to report to my colleagues that I was able to work with the Seattle City Light agency to get confirmation that this action that the full council is about to take will not affect the deployment of the LED streetlight conversions, and that the contractor who is performing the LED lamp conversions is in fact fully funded within this program through the end of the year. So I'm comfortable voting in support of this bill at full council today with the reassurance from Seattle City Light that this will not have a disproportionate impact on neighborhoods who've been waiting for this infrastructure to come to their neighborhoods, and then with the understanding that and the representation that from the agency that all 2018 planned replacements will be completed in 2019, even with this budget transfer.
Very good. Any further comments?
Just that, Councilmember Gonzalez, you nailed that. Thank you very much for bringing it up and following it up.
Okay, if no further comments, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and chair will sign it. Please read the next agenda item.
Agenda item 10, Resolution 31836, designating the Grand Street Commons redevelopment opportunity zone pursuant to RCW 70.105D.150.1 and making findings in support of such designation. The committee recommends the resolution be adopted.
Good. So I am very pleased to be able to present this resolution. What we are doing here is identifying a parcel of property that is going to have a what is called a redevelopment opportunity zone. It is close to the future site of the Judkins Park Light Rail Station. I believe this is in your district, Council President Harrell. The Grand Street Commons, it's a very impressive project that will be going on a Brownsfield, very polluted area, but that area is going to be demonstrably cleaned up. And part of the reason that we're doing this resolution is the Department of Ecology requires us to make this designation. There will be approximately 700 units of housing total on this site. About half will be affordable. 150 will be for households earning less than 60% of the area median income, and 150 will be for households earning more than that, and then the other will be market rate. So because we have to make the determination that this brownfield property is something that can get cleaned up, that we are supportive of the project, that we will provide the designation, then they can go forward for additional funding approval. And we definitely recommend that the revitalization of this property is very much the juice is worth the squeeze, and we're prepared to move forward with it.
Any further comments? Councilman Gonzalez.
Thank you, Council President. Setting aside that saying that I'm not sure what it actually means.
A lot of work, and you actually get something for it.
Okay, good. Thank you for the translation. I'm really excited to support this particular resolution. There's been a lot of effort at the city and in the city council in particular to really take a look at a lot of publicly available land that the city regularly surpluses for purposes of identifying those parcels of land to build additional affordable housing or to develop in some other way to advance our priority around affordable housing. And one of the things that I think we need a greater strategy around is identifying more of these contaminated sites that are either publicly or privately owned that cannot currently be utilized to build affordable housing upon because of the degree of contamination. And this provides us, I think, a really good example and model in the city of Seattle moving forward in terms of how we can be a little bit more creative about identifying buildable lands within the city and work with our representatives in our state delegation to secure funding through the state budget to allow for this type of environmental cleanup to occur within neighborhoods who are really just in desperate need of land and property to build on. And I'm really excited about the opportunity to work with these developers in particular to see if we can move forward a body of work over the next year to take a riff off of the work that we did on the Hope for Home program and see if we can come up with an inventory list, for example, to begin identifying other brown sites throughout the city of property that would be able to be utilized for affordable housing, but for the fact that it's contaminated. So I'm excited about this being the first step and excited about more to come in this space.
Good. And if I can just build a little bit more off the comment you just made, I want to say and recognize that Lake Union partners, Joe Ferguson and the Mount Baker Housing Group, Connor Hansen, have done a tremendous amount of work. And one of my colleagues, and it may have been you, Councilmember Gonzalez, said, what's it polluted with? And the litany is unbelievable, that there was former commercial equipment manufacturing. There was actually a former commercial dry cleaner off-site, but the water was leaching from one property to the other. We've got petroleum hydrocarbons. words that I can hardly even begin to pronounce, let alone explain what they are. And because of their willingness to go in and remove the soils completely and then bring in fresh, we're going to have a site where people can live in a very healthy way.
Very good. If there are no further comments, those in favor of adopting the resolution, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed vote no. The motion carries. The resolution is adopted, and the chair will sign it. Please read items 11 and 12 into the record.
Agenda items 11 and 12, appointments 1074 and 1075, reappointments of Robert J. Flowers and Nicole Grant as members, Washington State Convention Center Public Facilities District Board for term to July 30th, 2022. The committee recommends these appointments be confirmed.
Councilmember Bagshaw.
Thank you. So we have a number of appointments and reappointments here. This first one is Robert J. Flowers. He is a member currently of the Washington State Convention Center Public Facilities District Board. He's been a long-term member since 1998. This will be the third term for him. He's a partner at GCC, a company that focuses on athletes and business work groups. He's been very active in his community locally and nationally. Many of us know him and recommend highly his reappointment.
And you could do Ms. Grant's as well.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, you all know Nicole Grant. I don't think she's here with us anymore. She has been the head of our Martin Luther King County Labor Council in Seattle. She's secretary treasurer. One of the things I love about her is that she's a journeyman wireman, a journeyman electrician, IBEW, and was one of the first women to receive that particular recognition and receive her journeyman status. And this is a reappointment for her to the Washington State Convention Center Public Facilities District, and we recommend reappointment of both.
Very good. Any further comments? Those in favor of confirming the appointments, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed vote no. The motion carries and appointments are confirmed. Please read items 13 and 14 together.
Agenda items 13 and 14, appointments 1079 and 1123, appointment and reappointment of Alessandra Mari and Rico Cuyendrago as members, Pike Place Market Preservation and Development Authority Council for term to June 30th, 2022. The committee recommends these appointments be confirmed.
Councilmember Bagshaw.
Thank you. Alessandra Maury, she's a member of the Pike Place Market Preservation and Development Authority Council. She's been attending to the meetings, although she's not been appointed. She's been living in Seattle since 2013. And she's been a very dedicated member of the Pike Place Market community, has worked for Hands of the World since 2014, and she is currently a sales associate and a buyer and a local vendor there. Well, I asked her what would she'd like to focus on, and she said she'd really like to assist with transit for vendors who aren't bringing in trucks, but people that are working there that need to have either transit passes or be able to get to the Pike Place Market without driving a car. Recommend her appointment. Reappointment of Rico Cuyendrago. Many of us know him from the many, many hats he wears. He's an architect with DRL Group. He is also a mayoral appointee to historic Seattle PDA, serves on the AIA Architects Institute of America's Board of Directors. He's also been extremely helpful for us and with us around Seattle Center and the work that we've been doing on the new arena. So we recommend reappointment of Rico Cuyendrago as a member of the Pike Place Market Preservation and Development Authority Council.
Very good. Any further comments? If not, those in favor of confirming the appointments, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed vote no. The motion carries and appointments are confirmed. Please read agenda item number 15.
Agenda item 15, appointment to 1125, appointment of Christopher Maycutt as member, Community Involvement Commission for term to May 31st, 2019. The committee recommends this appointment be confirmed.
Councilmember Bagshaw.
Thank you very much. Christopher Maycutt, we met. He will be one of the newest members of the Community Involvement Commission. I have just been delighted to see with the Department of Neighborhoods their effort to reach out to people who haven't been and wouldn't normally have been in some of the neighborhood associations. Christopher is a native Seattleite. He lives in very near Councilmember O'Brien, raised in Finney Ridge, still lives there with his wife Samantha. He created and managed something called Chaco Canyon Organic Cafes. He currently works as a business membership coordinator for the Finney Neighborhood Association, and we recommend his appointment to the CIC.
Very good. Councilmember O'Brien.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Bagshaw. I just want to say that really pleased that Chris Makett's interest in this. I first had a chance to work with him when he was the business owner across the street from where the Puget Sound Energy gas explosion happened. His business was damaged along with a number of other businesses around there, and the business community there came together to work to resolve some of the ongoing issues, and he was just an outstanding voice to speak for as both a resident and a business owner in the neighborhood. He no longer owns that business, but he works for the Finney Neighborhood Association, and so look forward to having him part of this, so thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good. Those in favor of confirming the appointment, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, vote no. The motion carries and appointment is confirmed. Please read the next agenda item.
Agenda item 16, appointment to 1138, reappointment of Christy L. Beatty as member of Pike Place Market Finance and Assets Management Committee for a term to April 30th, 2020. The committee recommends the appointment be confirmed.
Councilmember Bagshaw.
Great, thank you. Christy Beatty has been 2 terms as a member of the Pike Place Market Finance and Asset Management Committee. She's part of a strategic partnership and planning team. In her role for the Pike Place Market Front, she helped with the capital project to redevelop the PC1 North property funded in part by the city. She was formerly a finance manager for a Parks Department for King County, and also she's been the budget lead in our very own CBO. As I mentioned, this will be her 3rd term, and she still wants to do it. So we highly recommend her reappointment.
Very good. Any further comments? Those in favor of confirming the appointment, please vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, vote no. The motion carries and the appointment is confirmed. Please read agenda items 17 through 19.
The report of the Gender Equity, Safe Communities, New Americans, and Education Committee, agenda items 17 through 19, appointments of 1130 through 1132, appointment of Amy Liu as member, Seattle Fire Code Advisory Board for a term to 3 years from council confirmation, and reappointments of James R. Fair and Rianne Rushing as member, Seattle Fire Code Advisory Board for a term to March 31st, 2021. The committee recommends these appointments be confirmed.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Thank you, Council President. Appointment 01130 is the appointment of Amy Liu as member of the Seattle Fire Code Advisory Board. She is currently a resident of Magnolia, and this is a mayoral appointment to the Fire Code Advisory Board in the position of Marine Industry Representative. Ms. Liu has been involved in the marine industry for over 10 years and is the first and only female certified marine chemist in the country. She earned her Master of Science degree in Environmental Health from the University of Washington in 2006 and her Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from Seattle University in 2003. She's a member of the Federal Maritime Advisory Committee of Occupational Safety and Health and volunteers locally with the Puget Sound Shipbuilders Association and the Society of Port Engineers of Puget Sound. Ms. Liu works professionally with many different ship repair yards and companies in Seattle and the Puget Sound area that are directly impacted by the Seattle Fire Code on a daily basis, and as such is an ideal candidate for this particular position. Appointment 01131 is the reappointment of James Fair, again as a member of the Seattle Fire Code Advisory Board. Mr. Fair is a resident of Queen Anne, also is a mayoral appointee to what would be his 4th term on the Fire Code Advisory Board in the architect position. He is currently the president of the Fair Building Technology, a consulting firm providing architectural and construction management consulting for technically complex projects throughout the city. He has 30+ years of experience as an interdisciplinary technical architect specializing in large-scale public use projects with code compliance and life safety expertise. He's actively engaged in a variety of civic organizations in the city, including the American Institute of Architects, Seattle Building Code Committee, the Puget Sound chapter of the Construction Specifications Institute, and Seattle Public Schools ACE Mentoring Program. And as you can tell from his bio, also an ideal candidate for this particular advisory board. Lastly, we have the reappointment of Ray Ann Rushing, also as a member of the Seattle Fire Code Advisory Board. Ms. Rushing is a resident of Ravenna neighborhood, and she is also a mayoral appointee, and if reappointed, this would be her 5th term on the Fire Code Advisory Board in the mechanical engineer position. She has 30+ years of experience as a professional mechanical engineer and is currently the principal engineer at Rushing, a Seattle-based firm. Ms. Rushing holds credentials in LEED, AP, Building Design and Construction. She's also involved with several civic institutions, including the Cascadia Green Building Council, the Clinton Global Initiative, and the Workforce Development Council. And the committee unanimously requests and recommends the appointment and reappointments as described.
Very good. Any further comments? Those in favor of confirming the appointments, please vote aye. Aye. Those opposed, vote no. The motion carries and the appointments are confirmed. Please read the next agenda item.
The report of the Governance, Equity, and Technology Committee, Agenda Item 20, Council Bill 119297, establishing a new SODO parking and business improvement area. The committee recommends the bill pass as amended.
Thank you very much. So this council bill establishes a business improvement area, otherwise known as the BIA, in south of downtown, or otherwise known as SODO. And I think many of you are very familiar with this legislation. For those that aren't, BIAs are an economic development funding mechanism that basically allows property and business owners to assess themselves to fund enhanced services, programming and management for a business district. And the current SODO Business Improvement Area, or BIA, was originally established in 2013 for a 5-year period. It ends in December 31st, 2018. And, in theory, it's based on an ability to provide services valued by its ratepayers. The SODO Business Improvement Area developed a proposal recommending the creation of a new BIA with expanded boundaries for a period of 10 years, and that's what this legislation does. The new service area would extend roughly from South Royal Brome Way to South Hudson Street and I-5 to the Port of Seattle. The city generally considers a new or expanding BIA when presented with a petition by those who represent 60% or more of the total assessment in the proposed BIA, and our city staff and their employees followed the RCW that allows for this and calculated the dollar amount of the special assessment that each business and multifamily residential or mixed use property would pay, and compared the dollar amount represented by the signed petitions and letters of support to establish a total of the entire proposed SODO BIA, and the result was 61%, which of course exceeds a threshold of 60. And in a nutshell, the programs allow for transportation investments, safety, cleaning, advocacy, marketing, communications, business community development within that existing zoning. A little bit about the process that was used, and of course the assessments would begin January 1st, 2019. On July 16th, the council passed Resolution 31823, which initiated the proposed BIA for consideration, and Resolution 31824, which established the intent to establish a BIA and sort of set the public hearing date for August 7th. On July 17th, the committee had an initial discussion and briefing on the proposal, and we listened to ratepayers and community advocates. On August 7th, the committee held another public hearing, and on September 18th, the committee held its third discussion and voted on the legislation. A few remarks that we heard from during the public testimony. We've said all along that we are doing our best to make smart investments, and we are asking on businesses and ratepayers to assist us in that process, looking again at transportation solutions, public safety solutions, and this is a good example where I think we have strong leadership of those running the BIA. I wanted to recognize you at least by description, not by name, because I don't like to start singling people out, but it was very clear that the work done by those running the BIA were to the satisfaction of the ratepayers. And I say to the satisfaction, not to say that we solved all the problems, but I think that it is very clear we are committed and we're coming up with solutions, and we take this work seriously, and we are worthy of this kind of investment. So we want to thank the ratepayers, thank the BIA folks, and I look forward to supporting this this ordinance. Any further comments from any of my colleagues? If not, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Gonzalez.
Aye. Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Juarez. You did. O'Brien.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passed and shall Senate. Please read the next agenda item.
Agenda Item 21, Council Bill 119218, relating to surveillance technology implementation, amending Ordinance 125376 and Chapter 14.18 of the Seattle Municipal Code. The committee recommends the bill pass as amended.
So it's absolutely my pleasure to present this council bill, which amends the surveillance ordinance, which was passed by the council in 2017. I'll talk a little bit more about the history during my latter part of my remarks. Just some background, though. The 2017 surveillance ordinance outlined requirements that included, number one, that surveillance technology get reviewed and approved by the City Council before acquisition, and that, of course, is an important aspect of the legislation. That 2, council review and approve via an ordinance for retroactive technologies, and 3, reporting about surveillance technology use and community impact. The Chief Technology Officer now is required to compile a master list of surveillance technologies in use by city departments. And during this process, 28 technologies were identified in 4 departments: City Light, the Department of Transportation, the Seattle Fire Department, and the Seattle Police Department. So what does this bill do? And I got to tell you, you'll see as I describe it, there are a lot of positive fingerprints, excuse the pun, on this particular piece of legislation, because a lot of people were very interested in making sure both technology is used effectively and efficiently, but privacy interests were protected. Number 1, it creates a community surveillance working group. And this group will advise the City Council and Executive on matters of surveillance technology from a community perspective. That's the bottom line directive that we're asking to be achieved from that group. The working group would provide a privacy and civil liberties impact assessment, or I'll just call it an impact assessment, for each surveillance impact report. And we'll get that acronym, the SIR or SIR, will be part of our vernacular because that's what is created, a surveillance impact report, which is a report that documents and identifies how surveillance technologies will be used, how data will be securely stored, retained, and accessed and audited by departments. And of course, that is our commitment to transparency. The impact assessment would be included with any SIR submitted to the City Council for ordinance approval. And thus far, there are a total of 28 SIRs, and the working group would be afforded, the way that the ordinance works is they'd be afforded no less than 6 weeks to prepare this impact assessment. And if the working group does not prepare the assessment before the transmittal of the SIR, the working group would ask the council for a 2-week extension, and no doubt would be granted because we want them to do that kind of work at that level. The working group consists of 7 members, 4 appointed by the mayor and 3 appointed by the City Council, and we'll have that achieved by December of 2018. Thanks to the leadership of Councilmember O'Brien and others, we sort of looked at how this will sort of roll out since this is a work in progress. And I want to again I'll thank toward the closing remarks, a lot of people really push the city as they should on what's due and how to respond when all of the work is not given when to, in terms of the review process of existing technology. So what we came up with is the departments would begin submitting to the City Council these SIRs no later than January 31st, 2019. All 28 must be submitted to the Council by March 1st, 2020. The first annual equity impact assessment, which is again is an assessment looking at how it affects particularly communities of color, underrepresented communities, or communities particularly vulnerable to the misuse of technology. An equity impact assessment will be filed beginning September 15, 2019 and continuing by no later than September 15th each year thereafter. And that was sort of a timeline sort of negotiated between the departments and Councilmember Bryan and myself, looking at we need to give them some time given their limitation of resources, but we don't want to wait and have any surprises. So we want to see it as it's developed, and we thought that that kind of process made sense. I have some amendments that will actually describe these changes in a formal manner, but that's sort of where we arrived, and I think that was good policy. The first annual surveillance usage review will be filed January 2020 and covers activities through the end of 2018. Usage reviews in subsequent years shall be filed in September and cover the data and activities of the previous year. Standing back from the legislation a little bit, I believe that the city has demonstrated a commitment to privacy and security of the public's people's personal information, trying to strike the right balance. You may recall that, again, in March of 2013, this council, or a council, I should say, passed a Council Bill 117730, which required, again, city departments to obtain council approval prior to acquiring certain surveillance equipment in it, and required council review and approval of department data protocols. And that was sort of a shift in how things, of course, had been done historically. In February of 2015, Council passed Resolution 31570 adopting 6 privacy principles guiding the actions the city will take when collecting and using information from the public. In the fall of 2015, the Privacy Toolkit was distributed to city departments to incorporate the privacy principles into daily departmental operations. July 2017, the city hired Ginger Armbruster as the city's chief privacy officer. The chief privacy officer will help the city implement and enforce practices that manage data in accordance with our privacy principles. In 2017, under the leadership of Councilmember Gonzalez, the Council passed Council Bill 118930, which updated the definition of surveillance technologies and the requirements that I stated earlier, requiring this kind of sort of stringent review and assessment as we review these technologies. A few thanks I'll do at the end, but I did want to make sure that I amend it first. But before I do that, I sort of talked about the amendments embedded in the legislation. I'll walk through the formal amendments. But did any of my colleagues, first of all, are all of you awake, number one? But number two, did Councilman O'Brien or anyone else want to say anything about this?
Yes. Thank you, Council President Harrell. First, I want to say thanks to you for your collaboration in this. This is a long and thorough process, and just reiterate that what we are trying to do here in Seattle around surveillance and transparency of the public is really pioneering work, and so it's not something where we can just pick up and see what other jurisdictions have done. And so we've had a lot of iterations back and forth and work with some community members who've been working closely on this. And really happy with where we are today, especially with the 3 minor amendments that have come through today, and I'm excited to pass this. So thanks for your leadership on this.
Thank you very much. I want to shout out some thanks too, and that is Greg Doss on Central Staff. Thank you for working so feverishly on this, and Kate Garb in the Mayor's Office, and of course my colleague Councilmember O'Brien, and many of you participated in these discussions. And I want to thank Shankar and Michelle from the ACLU. They were truly, in my opinion, protecting the interests of the public. And Javon Hudson, thank you for your work and your testimony as well today. We deeply appreciate that, and we look forward to partnering through this this emerging issue that many cities will contend with, and I think we're on the cutting edge of how it should be done the right way. So having said that, I got to walk you through the amendments, and so I'm going to first, bear with me here, I would like to move Amendment 1, just one sec here. I'd like to move to amend Council Bill 119218 by adding 3 new sentences as presented on Amendment 1, and those 3 new sentences I sort of described. It basically talked about the dates of SIRS being submitted to the Council by March 1, 2020, and the other descriptions and the deadlines. You've been passed out and emailed the version, but it was just the dates that I talked about that were sort of negotiated. So I'll describe that as Amendment 1. Is there a second? Okay. Any questions on that? All those in favor of Amendment 1, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. And on Amendment number 2, which was, again, it was a date insertion that Councilmember O'Brien and myself and others worked out dealing with the first annual impact statements. Just some language. I'll just read the language. When reviewing technologies that do not have SIRs, the department shall look to existing documents and policies to address the requirements of Section 14.18.050, and whenever possible, provide the information requested for each retroactive technology. And there, what we're trying to achieve is making sure that even if a formal SIR is not developed, we get everything we can to make sure that it's included in the equity impacts assessment, and we thought that was a good policy. So that's Amendment number 2. Is there a second? Any questions? All those in favor of Amendment number 2, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. And last, Amendment number 3 is just a technical change. There were some things to Central Staff, I believe. There were just some words. We're placing a few words: statement with assessment, approval with consideration, and statement with assessment again. So they were just technical changes is all. So I propose Amendment number 3 to the Council bill. Is there a second? All those in favor of Amendment number 3 say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, so that's the amended bill with those 3 amendments. So I will ask that the clerk call the roll on the passage of the amended bill.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Herbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Juarez, O'Brien,
Aye.
Sawant,
Aye.
Bagshaw, President Harrell,
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Please read the next report, the short title, please.
The report of the Planning, Land Use and Zoning Committee, Agenda Item 22, Council Bill 119342, relating to land use and zoning, setting a moratorium established by Ordinance 125 for 6 months. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thanks. This is the first of 4 items from the PLES Committee. Fun fact, since we're going long today, we almost called it the Upbeat Committee, Urban Planning, Built Environment, and Trees. But we settled on PLES instead. The first item is a moratorium on certain uses within the Aurora-Licton Springs Urban Village. Last October, we passed emergency legislation prohibiting certain uses that conflict with our comprehensive plan goals for ALEV. The moratorium was in response to continued application for uses such as storage and mini warehouse facilities in a residential urban village. When those uses crop up, it tends to lock up that land use for 2+ decades, and that's a place where we want to see more housing, not necessarily more self-storage units. So we asked for that emergency legislation, adopted it, and anticipated that those changes would be made permanent through the adoption of the citywide mandatory housing affordability proposal. But given the lengthiness of that appeal, we are here asking for an extension of that moratorium by 6 months. As was outlined in public comment today, we've had a couple, 3 folks in opposition, maybe 4 or 5, and received in excess of 100 emails and phone calls to the office in support of this extension. So I would ask for your support in adopting Council Bill 119342.
Very good. Councilmember O'Brien.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Thanks for your ongoing work on this, and I will be supporting this. I want to just reiterate what I said at committee, which is that I'm committed that the city takes a kind of comprehensive look on the types of uses that are currently in that spot. I think the feedback that you and others have talked about the number of comments are important. I also think, though, there are certain types of uses that we need to function as a city. Those uses have to be somewhere. I've heard from business owners like the folks at Handy Andy that have talked about if we, that they will be there because their permit is vested, but if these uses don't exist in our city, where will they go? And I think it's worth a conversation to make sure that we are creating spaces for the types of uses we need, and also honoring, neighborhood desire to evolve over time. And it may be that these uses are not incompatible in certain ways, and we can figure that out. It may be that there is some type of incompatibility, and we just have to figure out where that goes and not just prohibit things. I do think continuing this with this legislation to extend the timeline to allow us some more time while the MHA process moves forward makes sense, which is why I'm supporting it.
Good.
Council President, can I say a few words?
Yes, Councilmember Juarez.
Thank you. This location obviously is located in District 5. And again, the purpose of this legislation is to extend a moratorium on certain types of heavy commercial development inside the Aurora-Licton Springs Urban Village, ALEV boundaries, by an additional 6 months. This moratorium was originally approved by council, as was stated earlier, 1 year ago. Restricting heavy commercial development will encourage more housing and pedestrian-friendly development in the C1, C2, and NC3 designations within the boundaries of ALEV. The goals of this legislation are consistent with the 2035 Comprehensive Plan, the Aurora-Licton Urban Village Neighborhood Plan, and the Mandatory Housing Affordability. That is MHA, the citywide rezones, all of which have had community and council review over the last several years. No businesses will be asked to leave or relocate as a result of the legislation. Any new business development that has recently been permitted or is in the permitting process will still move forward. The ALEV community has been welcoming to potential density and zone changing in a more pedestrian-friendly development. However, since ALEV is part of the citywide rezone, those permanent changes will have to wait, and this is a way to ensure that we do not lose too much development capacity with things that are incompatible with the vision for that neighborhood, and we will be legally incompatible in the future. I want to thank the community members who brought this to our attention and who have contributed and continue their work with our office to achieve the goals for their community. Many individuals, but those in particular, Leah Anderson, Lee Birch, David Osaki, Ryan I can never say that, DiRamayo, just to name a few. So I ask my council colleagues for your support today in voting yes to approve. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Herbold.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention for the record, I believe that of the 3 or so comments that we received in opposition to this action, one of them was on behalf of a membership-based organization, the Aurora Ave Merchants Association, so likely representing more than 3 individuals, and I think that speaks to the interest that was discussed in committee in using this time not only to make sure that there are not any additional incompatible uses, permits filed for incompatible uses, but to actually have a more intentional engagement that includes that body as well.
Very good. Any further comments before we vote? If not, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and chair will sign it. Please read the next agenda item.
Agenda item 23, Council Bill 119332, relating to land use and zoning, amending section 23.41.010 of the Seattle Municipal Code to approve the 2018 South Lake Union Neighborhood Design Guidelines. Committee recommends the bill pass.
Councilmember Johnson.
The PLES Committee is also upbeat to bring you the South Lake Union Neighborhood Design Guidelines. These design guidelines have been in development by community for the last several years. Strong community support for this. We do have to make one small technical substitute amendment, which clarifies that a depiction of streets and the public realm in the proposed design guidelines does not supersede SDOT's requirements for right-of-way improvements. But this is one of those items where we have been fortunate enough to have several members of the public come and talk about the good work of Jim Holmes and the Office of Planning and Community Development, who shepherded these design guidelines through the neighborhood process, and happy to have your support for that today. So I'd move to pass Council Bill 119332, but I also have an amendment, so maybe I'll wait for a second and then talk about that amendment.
So we're talking just about the amendment, which is the attachment 1, I believe, but it's been moved and seconded on the amendment. So is there much to say about the amendment itself?
I would just ask for adoption to amend attachment 1 to Council Bill 119332 to modify the description of the public realm map on page 12 of the attachment.
And it's been seconded. So any questions about the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment as described by Councilmember Johnson, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. And any more to say about the base legislation as amended, Councilmember Johnson?
Just strongly support your yes vote.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? If not, please call the roll on the passage of the amended bill.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and chair will sign it. Please read the next agenda item.
Agenda item 24, Council Bill 119333, relating to land use and zoning, amending sections 11.14, .150, 23.53.006, .015, .020, 23.84a, .002, .006, and .030 of the Seattle Municipal Code for pedestrian access and circulation to make corrections. The committee recommends the bill pass as amended.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thanks. This legislation is required to help bring the city into compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. It explicitly calls out curb ramps as a part of pedestrian access and circulation requirements, would require corner lot development projects to construct new curb ramps and curbs, which was an ambiguity in the current code, requires development inside urban centers and urban villages to improve existing sidewalks, curbs, and curb ramps to current standards, and defines accessibility terms and makes minor changes to add clarity. Currently, curb ramps are only one of many options possible for improvement during development, so this doesn't change the types of projects as exempted from those requirements, but then again does require particular development projects like ones on corner lots to make investments in new curb ramps. A lot of public outreach done on this topic to both the Commission for People with Disabilities, the Bike and Ped Advisory Board, the Master Builders Association, and was unanimously approved by committee.
Very good. Any further comments? If not, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passed and the chair will sign it. Please read the next agenda item.
Agenda item 25, Resolution 31839, making a preliminary decision on the University of Washington 2018 Seattle Campus Master Plan. The committee recommends the resolution be adopted as amended.
Councilmember Johnson.
Okay, this one I've got a lot of words about. So the resolution 31839 contains a preliminary decision on the University of Washington Master Plan. As a refresher, we are at a one spot in a lengthy timeline here for approval of the Major Institution Master Plan. It started with the University of Washington preparing a draft master plan and environmental impact statement for community input. Then they submitted a final version of those two documents. The City University Advisory Committee then produces comments and a report associated with it, the FEIS. The Department of Construction and Inspections issued its own recommendations. The hearings examiner then held a hearing and recommended approval with conditions. All that happened before we then, as a committee, had a hearing from that included the University of Washington, the Department of Construction and Inspections, the Community Advisory Committee, and the parties of record that appealed the decision out of the hearings examiner. After all of that public hearing, we then took a look at different conditions. We adopted 13 amendments to the plan last Wednesday as follows. Those amendments require the University of Washington to provide 300 units of affordable housing at 80% AMI on top of the 150 units that are conditioned by the hearings examiner. The UW opposes this condition and argues the city lacks the authority to require housing, but has voluntarily agreed to the 150 units. We asked for a reduction of the SOV goal rate from 15% to 12% in 2028 with interim goals tied to the opening of light rail stations. We included parking associated with residence halls and the cap on parking spaces and removed minimum parking requirements from residence halls. We lowered the parking cap from 12,300 spaces to 9,000 spaces, which was it's part of an incredibly wonderful esoteric conversation about how you can cap something at 9,000 spaces when there already exists more than 9,000 spaces. We included showers and other bike parking facilities as part of the draft recommendations, trail widening and pedestrian separations along the Burke-Gilman Trail as development occurs along the trail. We exempted childcare space from the gross floor area cap, maintained the current zone height limit on site W22, supported the use of priority hire and contracting, exempted space for small businesses from the gross floor area cap, encouraged the incorporation of diversity in retail ownership on campus, encouraged the use of best management practices for reducing stormwater runoff, and asked the University of Washington to negotiate an updated city-university agreement. Should my colleagues agree that this monumental amount of work is acceptable to them, and we pass this resolution today, the resolution then goes to the parties of record for a 30-day comment period, followed by 14 days of replies. Those parties of record include the Department of Construction and Inspections, the University Board of Regents, as well as all the individuals and organizations that appealed the parties of record in front of the hearings examiner. Those bodies all get to make comments on our resolution, and then in December we will discuss any comments that we've received and discuss whether or not we'd like to pass an ordinance that reflects any changes based on the comments that we've received, likely sometime after the first of the year. Please remember that this is a quasi-judicial matter, so the appearance of fairness rules apply and the council rules related to ex parte communication continue to apply even after we pass the resolution today. But just because we are here doesn't mean that we're at the end. There's more work to come. And at this point, why don't I pause? Because that was a good 5 straight minutes of opening remarks.
Thank you, Councilman Johnson. The floor is open for remarks on the resolution dealing with the master plan. Councilmember Herbold, it looks like.
I just want to say, make it really, really short. Specifically as it relates to the recommendations from the University District Alliance for Equity and Livability, one of the parties of record on at least two of the elements that Chair Johnson reviewed, specifically the elements related to small businesses and the element related to the need to address childcare within the context of the master plan. We made some proposals for strategies that were really, not. They're aligned in the goals, but not aligned in the methods, as was recommended by the Alliance and KUCAC. So I'm really eager to get to this next stage of the process so we can actually hear in a way that's consistent with the quasi-judicial process whether or not those are good approaches to address those needs, because I really have no idea.
Very good. Any other comments before we vote on the resolution, or Councilmember Johnson could close this out? Councilmember O'Brien?
Just say briefly, thanks, Councilmember Johnson, for all your work on this. Obviously, a lot of staff support. I really appreciate Liz Whitson's help on that, too. There's still a few months of work to go here, but it's a good a benchmark I think we're clearing here. Very complex and important stuff working through, and really pleased to support this resolution and hopefully some version similar in the ordinance in a few months.
Yeah, between his work on the convention center and then straight from the convention center here into the major institution master plan, Lish Whitson has been a busy dude the last couple months. I'd like to briefly say thanks to Noah On from my office, who's helped shepherd a lot of this stuff across the finish line. And, we've had a lot of incredible conversations about the University District over the last couple of years, between implementation of the mandatory housing affordability program, the neighborhood design guidelines we'll get next year, and then also just generally a lot of transportation dollars that are being invested in the neighborhood. So a lot of really great things that are happening there, a changing neighborhood that's growing, and this is going to be a critical piece to that growth, and looking forward to continuing those conversations once we hear back from the parties of record after the first of the year.
Very good. Any further comments? Okay. Those in favor of adopting the resolution, please vote aye. Aye. Those opposed, vote no. The motion carries. The resolution is adopted, and the chair will sign it. Okay, please read items 26 and 27 together.
The report of the Sustainability and Transportation Committee, agenda items 26 and 27, appointment 1027 and 1028, appointments of Jen Hay and Daila K. Para as member, Seattle Sweetened Beverage Tax Community Advisory Board for a term to August 31st, 2021. The committee recommends these appointments be confirmed.
Councilmember O'Brien.
Thank you. Jen is a registered dietitian dedicated to reducing health inequities through nutrition education and supportive policies and practices that promote healthy lifestyles and health equity for under-resourced individuals and families. Can't imagine a better fit for this committee. Dila is the executive director at Open Arms Perinatal Services. She's worked in public health and advocacy locally and internationally, including as a doula for Open Arms.
Very good. Any further comments? Those in favor of confirming the appointments, please vote aye. 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 Those opposed, vote no. The motion carries and appointments are confirmed. Adoption of other resolutions. Please read agenda item number 28.
Adoption of other resolutions. Agenda item 28, resolution 31842, relating to the Department of Parks and Recreation, authorizing the superintendent of Parks and Recreation to act as the authorized representative agent on behalf of the City of Seattle and to legally bind the City of Seattle with respect to the project below, for which the city seeks grant funding assistance managed through the Recreation and Conservation Office.
Councilmember Juarez.
Thank you. This resolution is the city's application for grant funding of $5.5 million awarded by the State Recreation and Conservation Office. Grant funds will be used to support 12 parks and recreation capital projects. The committee was briefed on September 19th and is supportive of this legislation. I recommend that council pass resolution 31842. I move to adopt. Oh no, that's it, right?
That's good.
Okay, I'm done then.
All right. Any further comments on this? All right, I move to adopt resolution 31842. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, those in favor of adopting the resolution, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, vote no. The motion carries. The resolution is adopted, and chair will sign it. Is there any further business to come before the council?
No.
Okay, hearing none, we stand adjourned, and everyone have a great afternoon.